Celebrating 49 years on the air, award-winning Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, you probably heard whole milk back in school lunches. What does Brooke Rollins say? Plus, AI and Mississippi's ag future. The state's ag commissioner has a few words on that. Plus, 2 stories on cheese making, including an encore, the cheese store at MSU. And then, you cheddar believe it, another cheese story, this one with an Amish connection. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Zach Ashmore.
And I'm Mike Russell. Great to have you with us again here on Farm Week. If you didn't already know it, the president recently signed into law the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act. Essentially, it puts whole milk back into school lunches for kids in alignment with the administration's new dietary guidelines. Here's reporter Brianna Weaver in Wisconsin with an explanation.
There's so much nutrition in the natural dairy products that we need to get back to this.
For the past 5 years, Marshfield's Weber's Farm Store has offered several milk options to students throughout central Wisconsin. Currently, they serve 1% white milk, 1% chocolate milk, and skim in pouches to over 50 schools in the area. Soon, they may be adding whole milk and 2% to their options as part of the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act that President Donald Trump recently signed into law.
The proteins are higher, it's going to be better for them. We're looking at this from everything that we could look at and see what we could do that is best for the kids. It said it was a healthy kids program and they're not lying.
These healthy options are made in the back of the store and take just seconds.
Different fat levels are varied by the amount of fat we can take out with separation. So what we do is we run them through a mechanical separator. Fats are lighter, they come to the top, we take off a certain amount of what we're looking for.
For example, if they start with a butter fat test of 4%, all they need to do is take 50% of that fat off. That's how you get the 2% you see in the stores. But before they start serving their 2% and whole milk options to the schools, Hyman says there are more logistics that need to be sorted out.
The USDA will go into a whole number of things where they're looking at it. They're going to be looking at, how is this going to adjust? Where does it get adjusted in the program? And then it all comes back to the school districts.
U.S. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins, working in concert with HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr., issued a recent statement about the signing. She said in part, quote, "The childhood health crisis currently facing our nation is nothing less than an existential threat. Over 75% of kids in America struggle with obesity, poor physical fitness, or related health challenges. These rising rates of chronic disease are influenced by several factors, but diet plays a central role. The absence of whole milk from schools has long been overlooked by countless public officials, but President Trump noticed and has done something about it. This administration understands that the national health crisis cannot be overcome without reorienting federal nutrition policy around science and real-world outcomes."
And a statement from Mississippi's Ag Commissioner on AI in the future of the state, especially where agriculture is concerned. In that statement, Commissioner Andy Gibson wrote in part, quote, "I am concerned about AI in the future of Mississippi. It's commonly estimated that AI will likely result in displacement or replacement of between 20 to 30% of people's jobs in America. Every industry is going to change. Our economy is already changing. Because of cheap overseas foreign labor, Mississippi is no longer home to the cotton textile mills, the fruit and vegetable canning facilities, and a host of other value-added processors that used to dot our rural towns and communities all across Mississippi. New industries reshoring new jobs will require our workforce to develop or retrain for new skills at the highest levels of technological innovation. We can do this, and we need to do it now." Gibson's statements concludes by saying that while we need not fear AI, we should be deeply concerned, and he says we should work proactively to manage it.
And now, say cheese. Later in the show, we'll have our main feature all about specialty cheese operation known throughout the world. But did you know that cheese is also made right here at Mississippi State, known all across the country and beyond? I took a little tour not long ago, and what I saw was amazing. This is the MAFES sales store at Mississippi State. MAFES for Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experiment Station. In this store, they sell just about everything, including ice cream, about 25,000 gallons a year, cheddar cheese, 50,000 20-pound blocks sold a year, and Edam cheese, about 50,000 3-pound balls of it sold a year. People come from all over to buy it, and they call from all over to have it shipped to them. The man behind the operation is TJ Evans, the dairy plant manager. The plant's been in operation since 1938, but TJ's been the boss for 26 years. And when it comes to making cheese, nobody knows the process better than him. Here's a quick thumbnail on how cheddar gets made.
Normally we have one guy that comes in, usually around 4 o'clock in the morning. He will start up the milk room. He will sanitize everything, get everything ready. He will run a vat of cheese. We normally run 2 vats of cheese a day. He will run 6,700 pounds of milk into that cheese vat. The rest of our employees come in at 6 o'clock. We will start that vat of cheese at 6 with a starter culture. 1 hour later, we add color, which gives the cheese this yellow shade. 30 minutes after that, we will cut the curd and we will start cooking it. During all this time, your milk is 90 degrees. Once we start cooking it, we will raise the temperature 2 degrees every 5 minutes till it reaches 102 degrees. And we will cook it from anywhere from an hour and 15 to an hour and a half. We will cook the curd. After that, we will drain the whey off. You will be left with the curd. We divide it out on each side of the vat. Once we get it piled and divided out, we start checking an acid on the whey. And we will turn it 8 times. So once the whey gets to where we want it, we will mill it back down, salt it, pile it up, scoop it up in a bucket, and weigh it out, and then put it in a hoop. A big metal hoop, like a 20-pound block. After that, it goes in a press, sits in a press overnight. The next day, we will package it, and then it goes into a cooler for storage and aging. Sounds like a lot, but it doesn't take long.
Sounds like a complicated process, but it runs like clockwork every single day. And when it's all said and done, there's a mountain of tasty cheese just waiting to be sold and enjoyed locally and across the country. It goes fast. Even the dairy plant student workers are surprised just how fast the Edam cheese disappears.
Whenever we get a new crew of students, I will walk them in this cooler and walk them back here when this cooler's full, and I will tell them, I'll ask them, you see all this cheese? It took us a year to make this. By the middle of December, it's going to be gone. They're like, no. I'm like, yeah. Come middle of December, cheese is gone.
You might be surprised to know that all of the milk from which all that cheddar and Edam cheese is made comes from cows right here at Mississippi State University. None of the milk comes from outside the campus.
In southern gardening, ever notice how some plants just seem to have a sheen that makes them stand out? Here's Eddie Smith with 3 examples of plants you can take a shine to.
Today, we're taking a look at plants that shine with their spectacular leaf color. Whether you're gardening in sun, shade, or somewhere in between, bold plant color can make your garden shine all year long. Let's start with Syngonium neon, often called the pink arrowhead plant. This gorgeous plant brings a soft, rosy glow wherever it's planted. Those bright pink leaves have a slight metallic sheen that really stand out. Syngonium neon loves bright, indirect light, but it also performs well in low light areas, making it perfect for use in containers, home porches, patios, and indoor garden spaces. If you are looking to illuminate an area, the Blondie fern is hard to beat. Its fronds emerge a brilliant golden yellow and hold their color beautifully, especially in filtered shade or morning sun. This fern thrives in moist, well-drained soil, and its bold, luminous foliage brightens dark corners like a garden spotlight. For sunny landscapes, Duranta erecta golden edge delivers unmatched color. Its leaves are edged in chartreuse to golden yellow, creating a vivid contrast against the rich green centers. This plant thrives in full sun, which intensifies its color and keeps its growth compact. It's heat tolerant, drought tough once established, and makes a great hedge or container plant. As you can see, plants with brightly colored foliage bring lasting color long after the flowers fade. I'm Eddie Smith. I look forward to seeing you next time on Southern Gardening.
We'll take a break right here, but don't go away. Coming up in our Farm Week feature, Say Cheese Again. No one's about to take your picture. We head to Iowa for a dairy success story all about the art of making cheese. They used to be in the milk business. Now they're known worldwide for their specialty cheese, which they make from Amish and Mennonite milk just down the road. An old world partnership, the cheesiest story you can imagine. You better believe it. That's coming up on Farm Week. Don't go away.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations and their faith, and their right to make their own plans and arrive at their own decisions, and their ability and power to enlarge their lives and plan for the happiness of those they love. I believe that education, of which extension work is an essential part, is basic in stimulating individual initiative, self-determination, and leadership. That these are the keys to democracy, and that people, when given facts they understand, will act not only in their self-interest, but also in the interest of society. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
I believe in people and their hopes, their aspirations, and their faith. I believe in intellectual freedom to search for and present the truth without bias and with courteous tolerance toward the views of others. I believe that education is a lifelong process and the greatest university is the home. That my success as a teacher is proportional to those qualities of mind and spirit that give me welcome entrance to the homes of the families I serve. Because I believe these things, I am an extension professional.
Time for the market report. Prices still going up with a few exceptions.
A big one in particular we'll focus on today, along with some USDA reports. But first, the numbers. What were the week's biggest gains and losses? And then, the current state of our cattle and broilers, according to the USDA. And finally, corn on a downswing. Several market analysts explain why. So, markets closed still trending up. Both row crops and livestock split. Let's take a look. The week's biggest gain, lumber, up 44.5 bucks, nearly an 8% increase from the previous week. The week's biggest loss, corn, down 21 cents. That's more than a 4.5% decrease from the previous week. Several USDA reports released recently detailing our current livestock numbers, along with potential production and export numbers for the coming year. It looks like things are mostly positive on those fronts. Here's what they said.
In the Livestock, Dairy, and Poultry Outlook report this month, it looks like beef and cattle production is up based on December slaughter data. 2025 annual total 26 billion pounds, while this year's production forecast 25.7 billion pounds, slightly lower. 2026 cattle prices are expected to rise 5% from last year. Dairy exports look encouraging, as it seems this year will reach a new record high due to competitive cheese and butter prices. Production forecast is also encouraging, with this year looking like about 234 billion pounds. However, Prices for cheese and butter are lowered due to less domestic demand while international demand is strong. 2026 all milk price forecast $18.25 per hundredweight. In the broiler hatchery report, broiler-type eggs set in incubators up 1% compared to a year ago, while broiler-type chicks placed up 3% compared to last year. In detail, in all broiler-producing states, Mississippi included, December 6, 2025 egg placement about 249 million, December 27th, 252 million, and January this year about 251 million. December 6th, 2025 chick placement about 196 million, December 27th about 194 million, and January 10th this year about 198 million.
So, corn had a big fall in price, and as we said last week, the USDA's annual row crop report had something to do with it. Analysts Naomi Bloom and Ted Seifert say it has to do with the projected corn numbers from the June report differing dramatically from the actual numbers at the end of the season. How did this happen? Well, that we don't know, but we can definitely see the result.
It was a triple whammy of a bearish report that the industry wasn't prepared for. The biggest shock, of course, being the increased acres, harvested acres in corn, bigger yield on corn, bigger ending stocks on corn, both in the United States and around the world. And so it was just such a negative demise of information. Prices plunged 25 cents lower and just created such a negativity around the agricultural space. The report definitely bearish in all facets.
When you have a corn yield that falls outside the range of guesses, that means everybody was surprised. There was nobody guessing that we would see a raise in corn yield. The highest range of guesses was keeping it the same. So yeah, that has to be a surprise. Acreage has continued to be a surprise as it has continued to move higher. And so production coming in over 450 million bushels higher than expectations. Obviously that's a surprise as well. Yeah, you had a whole lot of surprises. We're going to spend years trying to figure out what happened to acreage this year, right? Because overall, we had harvested acreage up 4.5 million acres from the June survey. The June survey has never been off of final acres by more than 1% before. It's never even been 1% before. This is almost 4%. It is unprecedented. So how did we get all this so wrong? How was that survey so off? And how do we keep getting more acres? Now, the one clarity that I guess we got from StatChat with Lance after the report was that the harvested acreage number percentage, or the percentage of harvested acreage versus planted acreage increased because there's really only so much need for silage, right? And so when you have such a large acreage number and such a large crop and such a good crop, you don't chop as much of it for silage, or as high of a percentage. That was the rationale that I understood for harvested acreage going higher.
Building on what Ted said, it was a combination of farmer survey, that's what the USDA had said, that they got all the information from, along with the risk management agency data updated. So building on the silage talk, the North Dakota State University professor explained it, I think, the best. He said that with the yields being so good in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, once those bunkers are filled for silage, and it was record yield for silage, then the bunkers are full. So what's remaining in the fields then becomes harvested corn acres. And I guess that made a lot of sense to me. But that was such a large amount of an increase of harvested acres, up over 1 million than what it had been just from the month prior, that's just what let it be such a negative surprise to the marketplace.
And that's it for a deeper look into the markets. Looks like prices will stay volatile. Mike?
Thanks, Zach. While the dairy industry navigates bird flu, it's still trying to compensate for falling milk prices for now. Specialty cheese is one answer. After all, cheese in all its forms has been around forever. And for some, what's old is new again.
It's really neat how you just take a simple vat full of milk and 6 hours later you got 900,000 pounds of cheese. There's a lot involved in cheese making. There's art, there's science, there's passion involved.
Rufus Musser IV, or Junior as he's known in the rolling hills of southern Iowa's Van Buren County, is an integral part of a family operation helping to boost the local economy.
You got all your different products here: prairie breeze, garden vegetable cheddar, tomato garlic, black pepper, caramelized onion, 4-alarm, old style cheddar. We're in all 50 states.
Satisfying demand for the award-winning globe-trotting cheddar cheese varieties crafted by Milton Creamery creates jobs and allows for profit sharing with fellow Mennonite and Amish source dairies.
Cheese gets made in the other building, comes out here for aging. So what aging does, it allows the flavors to develop. This particular cheese has been here a little over a year.
It took a little time for Milton Creamery's gastronomic accomplishments to ripen as well. Junior's parents relocated their Mennonite family from Pennsylvania to Iowa in the early 1990s, away from selling homegrown produce and into dairy farming, which brought its own challenges.
We don't have a lot of population, so to get much milk out there, gonna have to do a lot of driving, a lot of delivery time. Dad kept looking at the price of milk in the store and the prices that he was getting on the farm, and he said, somewhere, somebody is making money in between here.
The eureka moment came around 2000 when the elder Mussers attended a value-added dairy conference in Wisconsin and came away convinced that specialty cheese making, not milking cows, was their best path forward.
That's straight off the farm right there.
Dad said, here's our niche. This is where we need to be. You bring milk in, because milk is 87% water, you take the water off, you condense it to cheese, now we can afford to ship it across the country.
After breaking in and lighting up farmers markets for several years with their celebrated cheese curds, Milton Creamery unveiled Prairie Breeze to much acclaim.
The American Cheese Society would describe it as a sweeter cheddar or a new age cheddar. We decided that's going to be the Cadillac, that's going to be what's going to drive the business forward, and it truly has.
Their success allowed for expansion, which helps ensure a steady stream of customers with discerning tastes. Just this summer, Milton Creamery's old-style cheddar won gold at the International Cheese and Dairy Awards in the United Kingdom.
Well known in Van Buren County and around the world.
County tourism officials celebrate the Mussers and a rising tide of similar endeavors, which help bring things like tax relief and school funding to local communities.
I mean, we're very fortunate we do have the Amish and the Mennonite and how they do work with us too. They know that they have wealth coming in, but they also want to share it. They support economic development. We have bakeries, wood carving, cabinet making. It offers unique tourism for people who want to experience their life or just buy that unique craft or food that they make.
The Amish reputation for exceptional craftsmanship and work ethic is well known. Though larger groups are found mostly east of Iowa, the Hawkeye State's Amish population ranked 9th in the U.S. in 2023 at just under 10,000, according to statistics compiled by Pennsylvania's Elizabethtown College.
Iowa actually has quite a large Amish Mennonite population, a plain population, and they're actually quite a big contributor to our agricultural sectors. In dairy in particular, Amish milk makes about 25% of the milk that's produced here in Iowa, so they're definitely big players.
Iowa State University assistant professor and dairy extension specialist Dr. Gail Carpenter says larger mainstream dairy producers, consolidated mainly into northern pockets of the state, harness various technologies to maintain high animal welfare standards and milking efficiency for their huge herds. She says while the Amish shun such advancements, Mennonite beliefs are less strict in practical application, though they adhere to stringent quality standards. Complementary partnerships have emerged, like Milton Creamery and the 5 dairy farms they buy from within 25 miles of their plant, the largest herd being 80 head. Together, they leverage value-added niche opportunities inside a smaller footprint.
They share a lot of the same values that their producers would, so I think that creates a lot of trust there. It's also a very competitive market trying to look for places to sell milk. It can be hard for small producers to find a co-op that wants to buy their milk from them because They just don't have the same volume as a farm that milks a lot more cows would have. So having that stability and that surety and that lack of risk with selling to Milton Creamery fits in with their culture and their values as well.
Carpenter adds each dairy cow in Iowa contributes roughly $24,000 to their local economies. And in a world of fewer producers, frayed connections between customers and food sources, a spirit of nostalgia has emerged, driving demand for products like specialty cheese. The Musser family's vision has led to benefits for their business and the region. For creamery workers, hard work also pays off, in more ways than one.
Forking the cheese curds, stirring the salt in, very intense. Also, when you put the 40-pound blocks into the hoops to put in the presses, between the weight of the hoops plus the cheese in it, you're looking at lifting 60, 65 pounds. I like to tell new employees when they start here in the production facility, you can cancel your gym membership.
No question, cheesemakers are making their money the old-fashioned way, if you know what I mean. Well, next week, aquaculture is big in Mississippi, so you'll like this story. We call it the Squid Squabble, an unusual story of how squid fishing, thanks to water temps and fishing tactics, was almost too good to protect the industry.
One fisherman asked for more regulations, but things got heated over that. Friendships floated away.
So, who won the fight? Maybe both sides. Join us for this Squid Squabble resolution. That's next time on Farm Week.
Remember, if you missed a story, look for past episodes of Farm Week on our website at farmweek.tv.
And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. See you next week. Thanks for watching.